Have you ever considered that living with your kids could actually do more harm than good after 70? While it may seem like a loving and practical choice, the truth is co-living with your adult children at this stage of life can slowly erode the very independence, peace, and purpose you've spent decades building. In this video, we're going to explore 8 reasons why living with your children after 70 may not be the blessing it appears to be, and how it could be quietly wearing down your confidence, your health, and even your most treasured relationships. From lost freedom to unspoken guilt to the fading of your own goals, each of these signs reveals something deeper about how our environment shapes not just how we live, but how we age. Stay with me through the end, because you're not just going to hear what to avoid. You're going to discover how to protect your well-being while still staying deeply connected to your family on your terms. If you've ever felt torn between love and boundaries, or wondered whether moving in with your children was the right decision, this video may offer the clarity you've been needing. Let's begin. Number 1. Loss of personal independence. One of the first things that begins to quietly fade when you live with your adult children is your personal independence. And it doesn't happen all at once. It starts with little things. Someone else handling the grocery list, your meals being prepared for you, the remote always set to a channel you didn't choose. Over time, you begin to shape your day around someone else's rhythm. And bit by bit, your own choices take a back seat. Independence after 70 isn't just about physical ability. It's about the freedom to live by your own timing, your own values, and your own voice. When you give that up, even in the name of family, you begin to lose the feeling that your life is your own, and that loss can quietly chip away at your self-respect. There's also something deeply tied to identity here. Your home is a reflection of who you are, the way you decorate, what you eat, when you rest, even what music plays in the background. Those choices tell a story. But when you live under someone else's roof, your story starts folding into theirs. That might feel small at first, but the emotional cost adds up. Let me share a story. Edward, aged 77, moved in with his daughter and her family after his wife passed. At first, it was helpful. Warm meals, safe surroundings, company. But within months, he noticed he was watching shows he didn't like, eating food he didn't choose, and hesitating to leave the house without asking if it would inconvenience someone. He told me, "I love them, but I don't feel like a grown man anymore." And it's not that our children mean to take that away from us. In many cases, they're trying to help. But help becomes control when the older parent stops initiating decisions, when you wait to be asked instead of speaking up, when you adapt so much that you forget how to choose. Independence isn't about living alone. It's about living on your own terms. That can mean a smaller place, a quieter place, a place that fits your life, not someone else's. Because when you protect your independence, you protect the parts of yourself that keep you strong, clear-minded, and proud of the life you've built. And when you lose that too early, even in the comfort of family, you start to shrink in ways no one else sees but you feel every day. Number 2, emotional imbalance and role confusion. When a parent moves in with their adult child, something subtle shifts in the emotional dynamic between them. The roles that once felt clear, parent and child, begin to blur. And while it might seem like just a natural evolution of family life, that shift can quietly create tension, confusion, and deep emotional imbalance on both sides. As a parent, you spent most of your life guiding, teaching, and supporting your children, but once you live under their roof, that dynamic can flip. They may start managing your medications, reminding you about appointments, even setting rules about the house. It's not meant to be disrespectful. Often, it comes from love. But for you, it can feel like a quiet loss of dignity. You begin to feel like a guest in your own family. And for your children, the pressure of caring for a parent while raising their own kids or managing a household can become emotionally overwhelming. They're no longer just your son or daughter. They become caretakers, decision makers, peacekeepers. And that shift, if left unspoken, can cause resentment, stress, and burnout. I once met Carol, 71, who had moved in with her son and daughter-in-law after a fall. I thought it would just be for a few months, she said. But it's been 2 years. I try to stay out of their way. I try not to make waves, but I don't feel like the mother anymore. I feel like the obligation. Her voice was calm, but her eyes said everything. These feelings don't always lead to open conflict. More often, they show up as tension in the air, a pause before you speak, a sense that you're walking on eggshells, a fear that one request too many will tip the balance. And over time, both you and your children may begin to miss the version of the relationship you had before, back when love didn't feel so tangled with logistics. That's why boundaries matter. And space matters, not just physical space, but emotional space. Enough room to still feel like a parent, not just someone who needs to be managed. Because when you lose that identity, you lose one of the strongest anchors you've had your entire life. And it's not selfish to want that space. It's healthy. It's honest. And for many families, maintaining separate homes while staying closely connected protects both love and respect in the long run. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward. Number 3, increased risk of feeling like a burden. One of the hardest feelings to carry at an older age is the sense that you're a burden to the people you love most. And when you live with your children, even in the most loving households, that feeling can quietly take root and grow. It doesn't always come from what people say. It often comes from what they don't say. A sigh when plans change, a pause before saying yes, a glance exchanged between your son and daughter-in-law when you ask for help. These small, quiet moments may not be intentional, but they leave a mark. As you age, you become more aware of time, effort, and space. You notice how busy your children are. You see the energy it takes to raise kids, manage careers, and keep a household running. And even if no one ever says it out loud, you may start to ask yourself, am I in the way? That question doesn't come from pride, it comes from love. What makes this even harder is that many older adults don't want to cause trouble. They start holding back. They stop asking for small things. They stay in their room longer. They try to be low maintenance. But in doing so, they also become quieter, smaller, more isolated. Not because their family made them feel unwelcome, but because the fear of being a burden changed how they see themselves. I remember Dennis, 80, who lived with his daughter's family after a stroke. He told me, "They treat me well, but I hear them whispering about money, about the extra groceries. I know they're not blaming me, but it still makes me feel like I cost too much to love." That kind of emotional weight can lead to depression, withdrawal, and even physical decline. Because when a person starts believing they're unwanted, they stop taking care of themselves. Their posture changes. Their eyes dim. They stop being the version of themselves that they used to be. This is why living independently, no matter how modestly, can be so powerful. When you manage your own space, make your own choices, and carry your own weight, even in small ways, you protect your sense of worth. You no longer have to wonder if you're too much because you know you're holding your own. And that sense of agency is not just good for your pride, it's good for your health. It helps you move more, laugh more, reach out more. It reminds you that you still have something valuable to offer, not just something that needs to be managed. So, if you've ever felt like you're walking too softly in someone else's home, that's not a weakness in you. It's a sign that your soul is asking for space to breathe again, and you deserve to have that space, not out of selfishness, but out of respect for the life you've already built and the self-worth you've earned. Number 4, interference with your children's own family dynamics. When you move into your child's home, you're not just entering a physical space. You're stepping into an emotional ecosystem that already has its own rhythm, rules, and roles. And no matter how loving the household is, your presence, however well intended, can quietly shift the balance of their daily life. Your child has likely spent years building their own family culture, how they raise their kids, how they manage their relationship, how they divide responsibilities, even small things like when they eat dinner, how they discipline the kids, or how they manage quiet time. It's all part of a delicate balance they've created. And the moment a parent moves in, that balance begins to shift. It's not about blame. It's about dynamics. When you're present, everyone becomes just a little more aware of themselves. Your daughter may feel like she needs to explain her parenting choices. Your son may avoid certain conversations with his spouse to spare your feelings. Your grandchildren might act differently when you're watching. All of it adds subtle pressure, whether anyone says so or not. I knew a woman named Lorraine, 79, who moved in with her daughter's family after a health scare. "I just wanted to help," she said. "I folded laundry, picked the kids up from school, cooked dinner." But after a while, I noticed my daughter and her husband barely spoke to each other when I was in the room, like they were editing themselves. I never asked them to. They just started doing it. Even with the best intentions, your presence can unintentionally create a divide. Your child may feel pulled between being a good parent to their kids, a good spouse to their partner, and a good child to you. That's a lot to carry, and over time, that juggling act can build silent resentment, even if everyone is too kind or too afraid to name it. Meanwhile, you may start feeling left out of conversations or decisions that you used to be part of, not because you're being pushed away, but because your child is trying to protect you or protect their household from conflict. That distance can sting, and it can make you feel like a visitor in a place that was supposed to feel like home. That's why having your own space, emotionally and physically, matters. It allows your children to keep building their lives without adjusting every choice around your presence. It gives their marriage room to breathe. It gives their kids room to grow. And most importantly, it gives you room to be loved without being folded into roles you were never meant to carry. Because love doesn't always mean closeness under one roof. Sometimes it means staying close in spirit while giving each other the space to thrive on your own terms. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 5, reduced motivation to stay active and social. One of the quietest risks of living with your children after 70 is how easily your world can start to shrink. When everything you need is under one roof, meals, company, help, it becomes tempting to stay in, take it easy, and let the outside world fade into the background. And while that might feel safe and convenient, it can also slowly take away the spark that keeps you strong, alert, and connected. As we age, movement and social engagement are not luxuries. They're lifelines. They protect our balance, our cognition, our mood, and even our cardiovascular health. But when you live with your kids, it's easy to go days without walking far, talking to someone new, or doing something that challenges your body or your brain. And little by little, that inactivity starts to change you. You might stop going to the community center or walking to the market. You might think, I don't need to today because dinner's already being handled, or because you're not in the mood to explain where you're going. And over time, that pattern becomes the new normal. Less motion, less conversation, less stimulation, and soon, less you. I remember Richard, age 82, who moved in with his daughter after knee surgery. At first, it made sense. But months passed, and he found himself watching TV most of the day. I used to be the guy who walked 2 miles every morning, he said. Now I barely move from the couch unless someone asks me to. That's the trap. When your needs are met too easily, you stop engaging with life, and that disengagement shows up physically. Stiff joints, slower reaction times, lower energy. It also shows up emotionally. Loneliness, boredom, even depression. Not because anyone made you feel that way, but because your world slowly stopped inviting you to participate. Living on your own, even modestly, pushes you to move. It pushes you to get out, solve problems, ask for help, plan your day. Those small actions keep your body alert and your mind alive. They remind you that you're still in charge of your life and that your choices still shape the day. So if you found yourself doing less, moving less, or talking less since living with your children, pay attention to that. Because while comfort can be a gift, it can also become a trap. You deserve to feel useful, engaged, and energized, not just taken care of. And the truth is, the more you stay in motion, physically, mentally, socially, the longer you hold on to the parts of yourself that make you feel alive, not just present, but fully living. Number 6, conflict over lifestyle and household habits. When you live in someone else's home, especially your child's, you quickly realize that even the smallest differences in daily habits can turn into points of tension. And no matter how loving your relationship is, these differences can slowly build up over time, leading to quiet frustration, misunderstandings, or even conflict. It might be as simple as what time you wake up, what you watch on television, whether you like silence in the morning or conversation over breakfast. You might value order and tidiness, while your child's household runs more casually, with kids' toys everywhere and dishes in the sink. Or maybe you prefer calm evenings, while their nights are filled with noise, phone calls, or late dinners. At first, you try to adapt. You tell yourself, this is their home. But the longer you live there, the harder it becomes to keep your preferences to yourself. You may start making little comments or withdrawing to avoid saying anything. You might start feeling like a guest who's overstayed, and they, on their end, might start feeling like they have to adjust everything to keep you comfortable. I once spoke with Elaine, 73, who moved in with her son and his wife. I never said anything, she told me, but their dinners at 9 p.m. drove me crazy. I'd already eaten by then, and I felt rude going to bed while everyone else was just starting to eat. She wasn't angry, but she was quietly uncomfortable every day, and that discomfort slowly wore down her sense of belonging. Lifestyle differences don't always have to be big to create strain. Sometimes they're just about tempo. You might enjoy slow, quiet mornings while your grandchildren blast music before school. You might want to keep the lights low in the evening, but someone else always leaves them on. Every little difference adds to a feeling that you're out of sync with the home you live in. And over time, both you and your family begin making adjustments, sometimes out of love, but often out of silent pressure. That leads to stress, and stress, especially the kind you don't talk about, is dangerous in close quarters. It creates distance where you once had warmth. It builds frustration that eventually comes out sideways. That's why having your own space isn't about isolation. It's about harmony. When you live separately, you're free to create your own environment, follow your own schedule, and preserve your own preferences without bumping up against someone else's lifestyle every day. And your children can do the same, because the goal isn't just to avoid conflict, it's to protect peace. And sometimes the best way to stay close to family is to love them from your own space, where both of you can breathe, rest, and live without stepping on each other's rhythms. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 6 below to let me know you're here. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now, let's move forward. Number 7, delayed pursuit of personal goals or passions. After 70, something powerful can happen if you let it. You finally have the time, space, and freedom to explore parts of yourself that may have been put on hold for decades. Hobbies you loved but set aside, dreams you tucked away while raising a family, new interests you're just now discovering. But when you live with your children, those personal pursuits often take a back seat. And not because anyone tells you to stop, but because life under their roof pulls your focus in other directions. It starts subtly. You might skip the painting class because dinner needs to be ready. You don't go to that book club because you feel awkward leaving the house empty. You tell yourself, next week, or it's not a big deal. But over time, your identity as an individual with your own projects, curiosities, and goals starts to fade. That's especially true when your adult child's home becomes the center of your daily life. Your schedule begins to orbit around theirs. Your emotional energy goes toward helping them, supporting the grandkids, or simply adapting to their pace. And while that might feel useful at first, it can quietly delay your own growth at a stage in life where self-discovery is more important than ever. I remember Harold, 75, who had dreamed of learning the piano after retirement. But after moving in with his daughter, he said, I just couldn't find the right time. Someone was always in the living room, and after a while, I just stopped thinking about it. That's the risk. You stop thinking about it, about what you want, about what excites you, about what could still be. And when you stop thinking about it long enough, you stop believing it's possible. But here's the truth. Your personal growth doesn't end because you've turned 70. It's not too late to learn, create, contribute, or change. In fact, this season of life, if protected properly, might be the richest, most honest chapter you've ever lived. But to access that, you need time, you need space, and you need permission, not from others, but from yourself, to put your passions first. That's why having your own home, even a small one, can give you back that sense of agency. You decide how your day unfolds. You decide when and how to pursue what lights you up. You move at your own pace, follow your own impulses, and rediscover what it means to enjoy something that's just yours. Because living with your children might offer comfort, but it often delays the very part of life that makes this time meaningful, becoming more of yourself than you've ever been. And that's something worth protecting. Number 8, greater difficulty establishing independence again later. One of the most overlooked risks of living with your children after 70 is how much harder it becomes to reestablish your independence if circumstances change. You may think this is just temporary, or I can always move out later if I need to. But the longer you stay, the more you adapt, mentally, emotionally, physically, to not being in charge of your own space. And slowly, your capacity to live independently starts to shrink. At first, it's convenience. You stop cooking because someone else does. You stop driving because your son offers. You stop managing bills or errands because others are quicker or more efficient, and at the time, it feels like help. But over the months and years, those skipped responsibilities become lost skills. And when you eventually want or need to live on your own again, it doesn't feel easy anymore. It feels impossible. This can happen suddenly. Your child might get a job transfer. Their financial situation might shift. There could be tension in the household that reaches a breaking point. Or you may simply feel the desire to reclaim your space and privacy. But by that time, the muscle of independence, the habits, the energy, the confidence has weakened, and the process of starting over feels overwhelming. I once met Florence, 83, who had lived with her daughter for 6 years. When her daughter's family moved across the country for work, Florence decided not to go. I thought I'd be fine, she said, but I forgot how to live alone. I forgot how to grocery shop for one person. I didn't know how to set up utilities or refill my prescriptions. I felt like a stranger in my own life. That's why maintaining even a small level of independence is so important. It's not about pride. It's about staying ready, emotionally and practically, for whatever life brings next. Because life changes, family. Dynamics shift, and if you've allowed yourself to become too dependent, you may find yourself facing your next chapter with fear instead of strength. But when you live on your own, or even just protect your autonomy while staying close to family, you keep those skills sharp. You keep your confidence intact. And you remind yourself day after day that you're still capable of steering your own life. Because the truth is, the older you get, the more valuable independence becomes, not just for how it feels, but for how it prepares you. It keeps you agile. It keeps you growing. And it gives you the quiet assurance that no matter what changes tomorrow brings, you'll still know how to stand on your own 2 feet. Final thoughts would ruin those thoughts. Independence after 70 isn't just a lifestyle choice. It's a lifeline. It's what keeps your identity intact, your confidence steady, and your days filled with purpose. While living with your children might seem like the easier path, it often comes with invisible costs. Your freedom, your routines, and sometimes even your sense of self. This doesn't mean you have to live far away to stay close. It means you deserve a life that still feels like your own, a space where your preferences matter, your voice is heard, and your day is shaped by what you need, not just what's convenient for others. If this message resonated with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What part of your independence are you working hardest to protect? And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time to do it so we can keep sharing insights to help you live well with dignity and choice in every chapter ahead. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.